Bookaholics is a safe place for reading junkies who obsess over books, authors, bookstores, book news, and book trivia. We'll nerd out with book reviews, author interviews, our habit, and other bookish things. Here is your host, Deirdre Pippins.
Welcome to the Bookaholic Podcast. I'm Deirdre Pippins, also known as Bookaholic and True Bookaholic in some social media. Well, it's summer unofficially because Memorial Day has passed, but it's not summer officially until Sunday, June 20th. So with that said, this podcast is all about the hottest summer reads for 2021. So get out your reading planners and let's dive in. Summer reading. Summer reading has always been a thing, and I guess it's because people are supposed to be a little bit more relaxed and laid back during the summer, or they, of course, go on vacation, and then maybe you have an opportunity to read a book. Not a heavy book. That's not summer reading, or it's not what it's supposed to be. Of course, you can do what you want to do. But it's usually your lighter, more fast-paced books that you read during the summer. That's just typically how it goes. So I have for you my 6 recommendations for summer reading. Really, you should be able to plow through these 6 books during the summer. And you can mark that however you want to. You could have started on Memorial Day weekend. You could consider starting at the very first day of summer, which is Sunday, June 20th, as I said a little earlier. And then what I believe fall starts September 22nd. So you can take it all the way there and see how many books you read for the summer. But I hope you have an opportunity and will consider the following books. So, like I said, I have 6. So I'm going to talk about the first 3. Now, you've heard me say, I believe in my very first episode, of course, you know, historical fiction is my favorite genre. Romance is my least favorite genre. But surprise, 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 I have a romance book that is on my list. And it's called A Low Country Bride. It's written by Prelasa Williams. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that name right, but it's spelled Preslayysa Williams. A Low Country Bride. And so I found this review, so I'm going to read it to you and see what you think. So it says, time is running out for Maya Jackson to make her mark as a bridal wear designer. Maya believes that working for Laura Whitcomb, New York City's premier purveyor of wedding fashion, is the best way of achieving that goal. However, when Maya's father needs help, she packs her bags and heads for Charleston, South Carolina. Derek Sullivan has a limited amount of time to turn things around at Always a Bride, his late mother's beloved business. Hiring Maya to help seems like a good idea at the time, and it isn't long before Maya is making headway with the shop's customers and with Derek's teenage daughter, Jamila. But how long will Derek have Maya in his life before she decides to head back to New York? With superb character development and great emotional depth, Afro-Filipina writer Williams stitches together a quietly powerful love story that is beautifully enriched by the deft and the insightful incorporation of weighty issues such as grief and medical conditions into the compelling plot and brightly enhanced by glimpses into the vibrant culture and history of Charleston. Wow, that sounds fantastic. Now, I guess you're wondering now, why is she being wishy-washy and she knows she does not like romance? It's because this review done by John Charles, it's because it seems like it's going to deal with some weightier issues than a guy and a girl who meet and have a very, very, very slow ramp up to a first kiss. You won't be to the middle of the book till they have their first kiss, and then they'll find out something about each other and it'll make them distant towards each other for some reason, and then by the end of the book they're mending their way back to a relationship. That is dull to me, and that's how I perceive most romance books going. But I think this book, the first of all, the man Derek has a daughter, and so that would play into their relationship. Maya, his father is ill, so that will play into the relationship. So that's why I'm considering this book and would enjoy um, two people getting together that are mature and that actually have issues, and it's not some type of Cinderella story. Also, I've been to Charleston several times. I live in the South. Of course, Charleston's in the South, and I love the beautiful history and culture of Charleston, even though it's wrought with slavery, of course. But, you can see a lot of African American history in Charleston. So I'm hoping they'll tie all of that up nicely in a bow, and that will be a very enjoyable, mature romance book for me and for you. Now, my next book, and I was so surprised when I first heard about this, is by Stacey Abrams. And Stacey Abrams, I was like, when does she have time to write a book? But I think somewhere she is a secret genius. She's got to be. I did not realize that she's written several romance books herself under a pseudonym, Selena Montgomery. So, wow, Stacey Abrams. And when I read the preface myself on my Kindle White, another thing, remember I was saying I don't like reading on Kindles and all that kind of thing. I did go ahead and invest in one, by the way. And so far, it's okay. I've got to understand the page turning and all of that. But sorry, I digress. Let's go back to Stacey. But anyway, so I have that downloaded on my Kindle. While Justice Sleeps by Stacey Abrams. And so here is this review. Known for her deft political organizing and passionate racial justice advocacy, Abrams is also the author of a nonfiction bestseller, Our Time Is Now. Now that I knew. She now displays her considerable talent for fiction in this gripping legal thriller. Justice Howard Wynn, an irascible lion of the Supreme Court, falls unexpectedly into a coma. His nurse feels a mysterious phone call, then disappears. Shadowy figures from Homeland Security, the FBI, and the international biotech industry confer urgently about a pending court decision with potentially earth-shattering consequences on which Justice Harris will be the swing vote. Coincidence? Not bloody likely. This guy must be British. Yet, who can untie this deadly knot of deception and global skullduggery? None other than Avery King, Justice Harris's brilliant and tenacious law clerk, who knows a thing or two about impossible odds. Assigned the unenviable task of serving as Justice Harris's legal guardian, Avery must also figure out who is plotting her boss's demise and why. With the help of her med school roommate, a young lawyer, and Wynn's hunky son, Avery tracks down fiendishly intricate clues, leading to a horrifying secret that implicates powerful and dangerous people. Will Avery solve the final conundrum before it's too late? Will this delightful, multi-ethnic Scooby-Doo gang prevail? Or will they fall to the forces of ultimate evil? Will there be a sequel? Stay tuned, dear readers, stay tuned. Wow. Okay, so this review is done by Leslie Williams. So I thank that person for that. But that sounds really good and it sounds really intriguing. Like I said, I've read the first couple of pages myself of the book, and you're instantly in the story. And I always love that. So definitely high on my recommendation list. This next book is called The Other Black Girl. And The Other Black Girl this is another name that I'm sure I am mispronouncing. And it's called Zakiya Delilah Harris. Zakiya is spelled Zakiya, then her middle name Delilah, Dalilah Harris, the other black girl. And I knew from first blush that definitely this was going to be my number one pick for my summer read. And so I was in the Bronx recently and stopped by the Lit Bar and picked up a copy. There was one copy on the table, one copy in the window. I asked the young lady that was working in the store, did they have any other copies? She said those were the last two. It's been selling out. So when I left, there was one copy in the window. So I'm thinking this is going to be one of the hottest sellers, The Other Black Girl. And so here's a review by Henrietta Verma. Nella Rogers lives on high alert as a young black woman in a very white publishing company where she is underpaid and desperate to make an impression. All her life, she's lived with the reality that we have to work twice as hard always, feeling like an outsider in both white and black worlds when the other black girl, air quotes, Hazel May McCall, starts at the company. Nella is relieved to have a coworker who gets it. She even gains the confidence to confront a white author about the racist portrayal of the only black character in his book. The aftermath of the confrontation sets Nella wondering whether Hazel really has her back, and anonymous notes telling Nella to leave the company fuel her growing unease. Racist behavior in the workplace, white colleagues' awkward attempts to pretend it doesn't exist, and the exhaustion of being black in white spaces are all encapsulated in a pitch-perfect way by Harris, whose introspective Nella will stay with readers. The story takes a fantastical turn that doesn't land quite as well as the office politics aspect of the tale, but still, this compelling debut thriller will be in demand, a must for public libraries. And I feel the same way. A must for public libraries, a must for your personal library. So I can't wait to read that. And as I have read the cover jacket of the book and read this review, I'm not going to let out this tidbit right now, but this book I'm waiting to read that book and see what it unveils. And then if it unveils what I think it may, in a later episode, I will tie that book in to possibly my personal life. And it'll be a subject matter that I would love to interview someone on. And so that we can talk about all aspects of life, not only from a person of color perspective to a non-person of color perspective, but telling the truth that what happens between people of color, intra-racially. We need to tell the truth about that also, about what goes on intra-racially. And I'll give you an example just in case you don't know. So for an example, there was the light skin and versus dark skin aspect. That's an intra-racial thing. And so that's one of them. but there are others that need to be tackled and that need to be exposed and that need to be told the truth on. So that way you kind of know what I'm talking about and going towards. And that I'll just see if that book just corroborates with that. And then we can dive deeper into the other Black girl if that's indeed what comes out of it. All right, stay tuned. We've got 3 more to go. Okay, this next book, I didn't know anything about it at all until I just happened to be breezing through one of my publishing books that I received and saw it. It's called, and it's got a very catchy title because you're like, what? It's called How to Kidnap the Rich, and it is written by Rahul Raina. Again, another name I'm sure I'm messing up. It's the first name is spelled Rahul, and Raina, the last name is Raina. So Raina's debut novel lives up to its billing as a fun caper and social satire, thanks to strong characterization, a fast-paced plot, and an eye for the ridiculous. His delicious skewering of the social mores of Delhi's, as in New Delhi in India, uber rich, and the clear eyed rendering of India's social hierarchy propels sheer entertainment into striking elucidation in the mode of Aravind Adiga. So that's another name I'm messing up. So that's Arvindadiga. Ramesh grew up poor and found a way to support himself and subvert the system that has done little for him by turning himself into an educational consultant who takes exams for his rich clients' kids. Uh-oh, sound familiar? He ends up elevating 18-year-old Rudy to fame when he earns a first in India's university entrance exams. When Rudy lands a spot on a televised quiz show, Ramesh serves as his manager, and then things spin wildly out of control when the 2 young men are kidnapped. Ever the entrepreneur, Ramesh manages to switch from being a hostage to being a kidnapper. There is drama in the dizzying turns of events, which Raina makes good use of with his unerring ability to neatly capture whole segments of Indian society and their corresponding absurdities, while his keen depictions of rich, ambitious, and unscrupulous parents, the frenzied media, and systematic inequities are universally recognizable. And this review is done by Shobha. Oh no, another name I can't pronounce, but it's an Indian last name. I'll spell it Viswanathan. Wow, I'm going to need some name pronunciation classes before the next podcast. But anyway, so it sounds intriguing. So this is a debut novel, and it is recommended for the young adult reader. So I'm looking forward to that. It sounds like it's a little kooky, a little crazy, not so serious, and just a whole lot of fun. My next book is of my favorite genre. It's called Island Queen by Vanessa Riley. Now, this is, like I said, my favorite genre, historical fiction, but it's based on a true life story. Check it out. Island Queen, a remarkable, sweeping historical novel based on the incredible true life story of Dorothy Kirwan Thomas, a free woman of color who rose from slavery to become one of the wealthiest and most powerful landowners in the colonial West Indies. It makes you think, Why haven't you heard of her? I know I haven't. Born into slavery on the tiny Caribbean island of Montserrat, Doll bought her freedom and that of her sister and her mother from her Irish planter father and built a legacy of wealth and power as an entrepreneur, merchant, hotelier, and planter that extended from the marketplaces and sugar plantations of Dominica and Barbados to a glittering luxury hotel on the South American continent. Vanessa Riley's novel brings Doll to vivid life as she rises above the harsh realities of slavery and colonialism by working the system and leveraging the competing attentions of the men in her life: a restless shipping merchant, Joseph Thomas, a wealthy planter hiding a secret, John Sayles, and a roguish naval captain who will later become King William IV of England. From the bustling port cities of the West Indies to the forbidding drawing rooms of London's elite, Island Queen is a sweeping epic of an adventurer and a survivor who answered to no one but herself, as she rose to power and autonomy against all odds, defying 18th century morality and oppression of women as well as people of color. It is an unforgettable portrait of a true larger-than-life woman who made her mark on history. Wow. I cannot wait to get my hands on that one. So that sounds just like, I just can't. I just can't put it into words. But if you love historical fiction and women rising up to power, that story is for you. Okay, so last and certainly not least is another book that caught me off guard. So again, I was at the Lit Bar in the Bronx and I saw this book, and it's called Summer on the Bluffs by Sunny Hostin. Yes, this is the Sunny Hostin from The View. She is an attorney by trade, but this is a novel. She's written nonfiction books, but this is a novel, and it is another delicious book. I had always thought my summer read for 2021 would start with The Other Black Girl, but once I started reading a couple of pages into this novel, I kept on reading. I'm only around page 60 or so, and it's already just taking off for me. First of all, I love reading books where I have been. So to say that, of course, I've been to Martha's Vineyard, been going there for about 23 years. And right now, I'm actually recording this podcast in Cape Cod. I'm in Eastham, Massachusetts. So I've been coming up to this area again, as I said, for about 23 years. P-Town, Orleans, Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyards are my hangout spots. As a matter of fact, I usually just come maybe once every 2 years, but I'm thinking I'm going to start coming up here about twice a year, summer and then fall. So I just love it up here. So as I'm reading the book, she's even mentioning some places that I've been recently. Like I rode through Castle Hill in the Bronx, and she mentions that in the book. She mentions Oak Bluffs, of course, in the book. That's where the book takes place. Of course, I've been there. And so it's just the whole thing that she's mentioning and talking about that I just love the familiarity. You're just a little bit more engrossed in books about places where you've been. So check out this write-up about summer on the vineyard. Okay, excuse me. I said Summer on the Bluffs, not Summer on the Vineyard. I've got the vineyard on my mind. I want to go. But anyway, so this is a little preface, a background about Oak Bluffs that you may not know. It says, "Welcome to Oak Bluffs, the most exclusive Black beach community in the country. Known for its gingerbread, Victorian-style houses and modern architectural marvels, this picturesque town hugging the sea is a mecca for the creme de la creme of Black society, where Michelle and Barack Obama vacation and now have a home, and Meghan Markle has shopped for a house for her mom. Black people have lived in this pretty slip of the vineyard since the 1600s and began buying property in the 1800s, making this posh town the embodiment of old money. So here's where we get into the novel background. 30 years ago, Amelia Vaux Tanner and her husband built a house high on the bluffs, a cottage they named Chateau Lavaux. For decades, Alma played host to American presidents, Wall Street titans, and cultural icons, but her favorite guests have always been her three goddaughters. Esperanza Perry Soto, a beautiful, talented Afro-Latina lawyer with Alma's strong yet guarded personality. Olivia Jones, a gifted Wall Street analyst with Alma's brilliant, logical mind. And Billy Hayden, a gifted marine biologist and rule breaker with Alma's courageous, free spirit. Growing up, these three goddaughters from different backgrounds came together each summer at Chateau Lavaux. And you know, when they mention cottages on islands, they're usually mansions, so don't be fooled by that. But as adults, the cottages filled with this trio of successful yet very different women go to escape, to slow down from their hectic lives, share private time with Alma, and enjoy the gorgeous weather, cool water, and stunning views Oak Bluffs offers. This summer on the Bluffs, however, will be different. An era is ending. Alma, now nearing 71, is moving to the south of France to reunite with her college sweetheart. She has invited Perry, Olivia, and Billy to spend one last golden summer together with her, the way they did when they were kids. And when fall comes, she's going to give the house to one of them. Each of the women wants the house desperately. Each is grappling with a secret she fears will hurt her and her chances. By the end of the summer, old ties will fray, new bonds will be created, and these three found sisters will discover they aren't the only ones with something to hide. Alma has a few secrets of her own. What she has to give them is far more than property. Between Memorial Day and Labor Day, she will tell these three surrogate daughters she fiercely loves and protects everything they need to know that they never knew they needed to know. Oh, my goodness. So here's another gripping novel. And it sounds so good, and it reads so good, and it is so good. Okay, so you've got to get your hands on this one. I did not see any promotion for it. Maybe Sunny spoke about it on The View. I don't know. I don't watch The View. But it is a very, very good book. And I encourage you to read this book. And I encourage you to read all of the books that I just recommended. So if you need more information about the books, it will be on my blog, bookaholic.com, soon enough. I will get that up there and give you links to the books, and you can purchase them from my website. All right, we'll be back. I really, really, really hope you got some insight on summer reading for 2021. I only wish I could read faster, but I'm going to get it done. So I have a small announcement. I am now on LinkedIn. Okay, so I have a couple of LinkedIn accounts. So this one says Deirdre Pippins, my name, but podcaster, the word podcaster is under my name. Okay, so check me out on LinkedIn, and always check me out on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook as True Bookaholic. Now, if you have any questions, suggestions, or would like to be on the show, just email me at readingjunkie@bookaholic.com. That's book-a-holic.com. And the same as my blog is bookaholic.com. Once again, book-a-holic.com. Remember, support your local libraries and independent bookstores. Until next time, happy reading.
Thank you for joining the Bookaholic Podcast. We appreciate your support. Remember to subscribe to the podcast, follow us on Instagram at True Bookaholic. You can also email us at readingjunkie@book-a-holic.com. Don't forget to support your local library and independent bookstores.